In this video, we're going to cover some of the basic security measures that you can put into place for your WordPress site. Now there's several different security measures you can actually have, but I'm only going to cover some of the basic ones in this video. Number one, no matter how you install WordPress, the very first ID number in the database is going to be an administrator username, and assigned to that is the administrator password. So an added layer of security is to go ahead and create an additional administrator username and password and delete the first one, because any good hacker is going to know that the ID number one in your database is going to be the administrator. And if they have access to that, then they're going to have access to everything on your WordPress site as the administrator. So let's just go ahead and delete that one. The best way to do that is to create a new administrator username and password, delete the original one, so there no longer is an ID number one. Another item is to keep everything up to date. Your WordPress version, your plugins, your themes, anything related to the makings of your WordPress site, keep it as up to date as possible. Now that said, whenever a brand new full version of WordPress comes out, like a 3.8 or a 3.9 or a 4.0, you may want to hold off for at least a few days before you go ahead and upgrade to that brand new full version, because there may be some lingering bugs between that new version and some of the plugins or themes that you have activated on your site. So go ahead and give it a couple of days to let other people encounter those problems and get them fixed before you encounter those problems and have to deal with them. And it's really important to do a full backup of both your files and database on a regular basis. How regular? Well, it depends on how often you add content or how active your site is. If it's something that you add content to on, say, a weekly basis, then maybe a weekly backup of both files and database is fine. If it's something like a very active membership site that you have brand new members coming in every day and brand new content every other day, then you might want to consider a full backup of files and database on a daily basis. Now, as I had mentioned earlier about keeping things up to date, if for some reason you are just in love with an older version of WordPress, well, keep this in mind. Hackers are very aware of the vulnerabilities of older WordPress sites. So if you are going to be sticking with an older version, then what you need to do is to erase any and all footprints of that version. In other words, WordPress lets everybody know what version of WordPress you're using. For example, if we were to right-click on your WordPress site, and I'm using Chrome browser, by the way, so if you're using a different browser, Internet Explorer, Firefox, whatever, then you might have a different language to get to what I'm about to show you, and that is the page source. So I right-click and then left-click on page source. That opens up all the coding stuff for your WordPress site. And as you can see, there's several spots in here that tell you the version of WordPress that you're working with. And it also tells the hackers, oh, okay, that's version 3.2. So all I have to do is just look in my little book of break-ins and see what hacks are available for version 3.2. Boom. So what you need to do is, again, if you're sticking with an older version, is to remove all of these little telltale signs of what version of WordPress you're using. Now there's a few different methods out there, and really only one method covers all footprints. Some methods will require you to delete a certain something in the header.php, or something to add to your functions.php that will eliminate this meta name generator. Well, you still got things like the RSS feed that, if not eliminated properly, those RSS feeds are still going to be showing the versions. So what I'm going to show you is a way to eliminate all footprints of what version of WordPress your site is. So let's go ahead and do that first. Now, anytime you're messing with code, let me go ahead and close this guy out here. Anytime you're messing with code, you really should have access to a file manager through a cPanel type control panel, or an FTP client, so you can access these files just in case the edits or the additions to your file that you might be doing inside of the dashboard area. For example, under Appearance, under Editor, you can edit all these files right here, and the function.php file is the one I'm going to be editing. But if we do all this stuff within this page right here, which is just fine, but if something goes wrong, then you're no longer going to have access to this page because you just broke your site. So if that happens, don't sweat it. So long as you have access to these files outside of your WordPress site, like through a file manager in cPanel or through an FTP client, then you're good to go. You simply access that broken file through one of those means and fix the problem. whether it means going to your desktop and uploading the original file to overwrite the broken one, or just fix the broken one. However you do it, you won't be able to do it inside of this page here. So that's why anytime you edit your files or customize your files inside of WordPress, make sure that you have an out. Make sure you have a plan B. Another thing about editing or customizing code, ideally it should only be done in what's called a child theme. But that's the makings of a different video. So for the time being, I'm just going to do all the editing right inside of here. So let's go ahead and tackle that one first. And I'm going to go ahead and open up the theme functions or the functions.php file right here. And I do have my cPanel control panel open right here just in case. I'm going to scroll down to the very bottom of this page to enter the new code. And you don't have to worry about pausing the video and trying to copy all this stuff down. I'm going to include this code along with this video, so it's just a copy and paste type thing. Scroll back down here and then paste. And right here I'm going to click on update file. And by the way, this is theme specific. So if you have a few different themes installed and you do this addition to one of those themes, it's not going to be the same with your other themes. So if you regularly switch from one theme to another, then you want to do the same thing on all the themes. Update file. Nothing's broken. So far so good. Let's come on back here to our front page, refresh the page, right click, and left click on view page source. As you can see, all those items up here where version 3.9 was showing are not showing any longer. So all footprints are gone. So that's probably one of the more important security measures. Again, only if you're accustomed to using an older version of WordPress. If you regularly keep your WordPress site up to date, you really don't need to mess with this at all. So let's go ahead and do the first item I had mentioned, and that's create an additional username. Now, first off, let me show you what I'm referring to. If we go to our cPanel control panel, come on down to our databases panel and click on PHP My Admin. Come over here and open up our database. Click on users. You can see right here we only have the one user in here right now, but ID number 1. That's what the hackers are going to see, and they're going to have access to everything that this guy has access to, and this being the administrator, well, they have access to everything. So let's go ahead and eliminate that problem. I'll close this out. Come on back to our dashboard. Come on down to users. Come on up here and click on add new. So let's go ahead and fill this in real quick. Then come on down here. And if you want to send the information to the email address you have entered up here, then go ahead and check that box. But since that's a fake email, I'm not going to do that. But you want to definitely make sure that under role, you've got administrator checked. Click on add new user. Now then, let's go ahead and log out and then log in under this one. And now we're going to log in as the new administrator. Come on back to users. Now you can see since we're logged in as this administrator, we no longer have the delete function here, but we do here. Let's go ahead and click on delete. Click on delete all content. Confirm deletion. Come on back to our cPanel control panel. Go back into our PHP My Admin. Open up that database. Click on our users. Now you can see ID 1 no longer exists, just the one brand new one we just added. And last but not least, we're going to be covering in this video is doing a full backup. Now there's several ways you can do this. There's several plugins that can do this. But remember, whatever you do, what you're wanting to accomplish here is a full backup of the database and the files. So a good way to do this is to, number one, have a folder on your computer that is dealing with this particular WordPress site. And inside of that folder, have another folder titled Backup, so you can have all these things backed up to that one folder. So I'm inside of a file manager here. You can do the same thing through an FTP client. I'm going to go ahead and click on Select All, click on Compress. I'm going to select Zip Archive. Some of these other ones are actually better, but for the sake of this video, Zip's going to be just fine. I want to give it a name, and the name I want to give it is going to be the date for this particular backup. Click on Compress File. Click on Close. Select that compressed file and then click on Download. Navigate to the location where you want that to be. Click on Save, and you have your full backup of just your files. So now then, I'm going to go ahead and cancel out of this and delete this. Now you want the backup of your database. Let's go ahead and close this guy out. Come on back down to our PHP My Admin. I should have done this earlier, huh? Open this up, and you want to make sure that this database is selected. Come on up here and click on Export. and everything by default is going to be just fine. Click on Go. I would go ahead and leave this name exactly the way that it's being downloaded, but I would put this in a folder with the same name of the file backup. So in other words, I would create a new folder. That way you know this particular database backup goes with this particular file backup. Eliminates any confusion 6 months down the line when you need to put these guys back in place because your site got broke. And that's it. That's how easy it is to do a full backup of your WordPress site, both files and your database. Close this out and let's head on back to our website here. Now there are many more security measures that you can put into place to help keep the bad people out, like installing, activating, and configuring the free iThemes security plugin that used to be called Better WP Security, or BWS. But for now, the items that I covered in this video will help keep your site safer than the sites that do not have these basics in place. That's the end of the video on basic WordPress security. Thanks for watching, and you have a great day.